Welcome back. Currently, the inflation is at a 3-year high and has crossed the 7% mark and is a cause of great concern, while the common man is at the receiving end, with the basic necessities becoming a luxury. For others, it's just another way to shoot out at the government. In fact, the rising prices of vegetables, food articles and steel pushed the inflation to a 40-month high of 7.41% in the previous 2 weeks. Though inflation has slightly decreased at 7.14, it has a relatively high impact on middle class and the lower class. The housewives are at the receiving end of this new development. It is getting extremely difficult for them to manage this skyrocketing price hike.
Well, onions. I am a person who need lot of onions to cook food. Now I have cut short to 1/4 and the food is not that tasty as it was before. Same thing with the tomatoes. 24 rupees a kilo today. I can't afford to use them for cooking the way I used to use earlier. Then chicken is 79 rupees kilo. Fish, we don't get anything less than 50 rupees.
Yeah, even small value, 50 rupees.
I have a cat. I have to feed the cat. I can't afford to spend 50 rupees and feed the cat with the fish.
According to the middle class, the blame needs to be shouldered by the government.
I'm sure they must be having everything free of charge. That's why they don't know how much we spend on food. We have to buy ourselves. Government must be getting everything, no, from the vegetable fellows and all free.
There are some expectations from the government. The government should take into account the needs of the poor people and the Aam Aadmi should not be a prey to political gimmicks. The traders in the market attribute the hike to various reasons such as unfavorable climatic conditions.
Compared to 2 महिने आणि आताचे फरक around 5 rupees increase per kilo.
Per kilo. आणि कित्याक जाला अशें दिसता तुमकां प्रायस इनक्रीज?
एक म्हटल्यार रेनी पावस खंयच्याय टायमार पडटा आणि ते जे क्रॉप आसा पळय ते डिस्ट्रॉय जाता एक म्हणल्यार आणि तेज्या पासून एका कडधान आहा पळय ते हाय लो जाता आणि सेकंड थिंग म्हटल्यार आतां हेजे गव्हर्मेंटाचें आतां म्हणटा न्ही गव्हर्मेंटान कितें तरी एक्शन घेवंक जाय तेजेर तेका लागून मार्जीन आमकां कमीच दवरची पडटा.
Comparing the prices of last year to this year in the same season reveals a steady increase in prices. The inflation in November last year was recorded at 3.11%. A year later, it has touched a new high at 7.14%. We spoke to Professor of Economics at the Goa University, Dr. P.K. Sudarshan, who told us more. He started by telling us what inflation really means.
Inflation in general means rise in price level. But when we economics people talk about inflation, inflation means it is a persistent and appreciable rise in prices. Or we can say that it's a situation in which prices are rising steadily and it is sustained for some time. There are different ways of measuring inflation. Most popular among them are wholesale price index and consumer price index. In India we follow wholesale price index.
When an economist says that inflation is an economic problem, what does he really mean?
Economists consider inflation as a major economic problem because it adversely affects the common man. It affects mostly the poorest of the poor. Generally, it is believed that inflation makes richer the richer and poorer the poorer. Inflation also affects different groups of people differently. During inflation, we can see that the debtor gains, on the other hand creditor loses. More importantly, inflation reduces the value of money. Money loses its value and with little money we don't get anything, that kind of situation. Secondly, inflation can reduce the incentives to save. If incentive to save is reduced, that will affect adversely the capital formation in the country. If capital formation is less, that means investment is less, growth is less.
He also told us why the prices are affected.
This excess demand or excess liquidity in the system pulls the prices up. This excess liquidity or excess demand is mainly due to the increase in money supply in the economy. Therefore, monetarists or monetary economists consider inflation is a monetary phenomenon. For example, great economist Milton Friedman calls inflation is a monetary phenomenon. He believes that inflation is caused only by increasing money supply. We have to consider the cost push factor also while discussing about inflation. Cost push factor means the increasing cost of production increases the prices. It pushes the prices up, increasing prices. For example, increasing the prices of food grains, increasing the price of edible oil, pulses and all are causing inflation in our country also. When we import these goods to our country, we are importing along with the goods the inflation also. There are short-term measures or short-term steps, long-term measures also, long-term steps also. According to me, Reserve Bank of India in our country plays an important role in controlling inflation. Government, the Reserve Bank of India can, through monetary measures, reduce the liquidity in the system or reduce the excess demand in the system. Recently, we know that RBI has announced to increase the cash reserve ratio by 50 point basis. The main intention behind that policy was to reduce the excess demand in the system and thereby to bring down the prices.
Time for a short break. You're with Goa 365.